The soul of the earth's otaku travels through a different world, comprehending the supreme divine skill and crushing him all the way. Kai Linghai, Ning Longmai, Jia Di Dan, Hua Tianing, all heavens and all realms are invincible. Equals 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 PS stable updates. Welcome to Bookmark. Book Friend Group. 555101423 Keywords of the novel. No pop-ups in the Palace of Creation, complete collection download of the Palace of Creation TXT, latest chapter reading of the Palace of Creation. Chapter 1. Tidal Technique. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1 Tidal Technique. In a daze, Fang Yi felt immense pain all over his body. Yeah. Are you still alive? Recalling the scene before the coma, a car rushed towards me with such a violent impact that I was still alive and could still feel the pain. Don't fall into a state of paralysis. Thinking so, Fang Yi worked hard to open his eyes. This is a rudimentary room with only 2 wooden beds, and I am lying on one of them. Where is this? Fang Yi was slightly surprised and frowned in confusion. In my mind, some messy information emerged, which belonged to another memory of Fang Yi. After digesting this information, Fang Yi finally realized that he had traveled through time. Currently, my identity is that of an external disciple of Qingyun Peak of the Taishan sect, with only 1 level of strength in the Linghai realm. I can be said to be the lowest ranking existence in the entire Taishan sect. Originally, with his talent, he couldn't even enter the Taishan sect. All of this is thanks to his father, who, despite the opposition of the family elders, overcame all difficulties and finally managed to secure a spot for him. But who could have imagined that he would almost lose his life after only 3 months into the reign of Emperor Xuanzong? No, it should be said that one's life has already been lost. A few days ago, Fang Yi went into the mountain as usual to search for a spiritual medicine. He finally picked up a 2nd-grade spiritual medicine clotting grass, but he didn't want to be targeted by Su Shaojia, who was also an outsider disciple, and directly took it. How can Fang Yi agree, even if there is a dispute with the other party? However, Su Shaojia had already become a warrior of the Spirit Sea Triple, and his ruthless actions clearly indicated his desire for Fang Yi's life. The result can be imagined. Don't worry. Since I have taken over your body, I will inherit everything from you, including hatred. Feeling another memory of unwillingness, Fang Yi firmly said. Strive to sit up behind you. Fang Yi began to check his physical condition, and apart from some soreness all over his body, there were no major problems. In the sea of spirits, a trace of spiritual energy slowly flows. Although he fused the memories of 2 lifetimes, feeling this spiritual energy, Fang Yi still felt extremely surprised and excited. Even if that spiritual energy looks extremely weak, as if it will dissipate at any time. But he knew that as he practiced, this spiritual energy would become stronger and stronger. In such a world where the strong are respected, the weak warriors can only be bullied by others, just like the original Fang Yi. To be respected, one must work hard to cultivate and enhance one's own strength. How could Fang Yi not understand this truth and immediately search for memories? Tidal Technique. In my memory, this is the basic technique of the Taishan sect, and every newly introduced disciple must practice it. It is said that the Tidal Technique is divided into 12 levels, but the entire Taishan sect has not heard of anyone who can cultivate this technique to 12 levels. The most powerful one only reaches 10 levels, and that is the daughter of the Tianjiao of the Taishan sect, Ji Wuxian. It is rumored that Ji Wuxian has exceptional talent and is unparalleled in her cold beauty, but Fang Yi has never seen her before. Before he entered the Taishan sect, he had already been promoted to an inner disciple and was said to have been adopted as a personal disciple by the sect leader. In Taishan sect, the inner gate and the outer gate are two worlds. Fang Yi closed his eyes slightly and began practicing in the way he remembered. Slowly, the spiritual energy in the spiritual sea slowly rotates, forming a small vortex that slowly absorbs the spiritual energy from heaven and earth. A little spiritual energy merged into the vortex, slowly growing and then devouring the misty impurities around. The spiritual sea of the human body is naturally shrouded in mist. At the beginning of cultivation, it is necessary to introduce spiritual energy into the body and open up the spiritual sea. At this moment, Fang Yi's spiritual sea is only the size of an egg, just a vortex of spiritual energy. If the spiritual sea is completed, it will form 12 spiritual energy vortices, each of which is much larger than the vortices in his current body. Feeling the spiritual vortex growing stronger and stronger, Fang Yi became extremely excited. The absorption speed seems to be faster than before, although it is very limited. If it were not for his curiosity about spiritual energy and careful observation, he would not have been able to detect it at all. Fang Yi didn't care either, it was always a good thing. Time slowly passed, and Fang Yi became addicted to cultivation for an unknown amount of time. Slowly, the speed of the spiritual vortex in the spirit sea slowed down, and the absorption speed returned to its previous state. What's going on? Fang Yi was greatly surprised. Why does the speed of this spiritual vortex change from fast to slow? Is there anything strange about this tidal technique? Suddenly, a spiritual light flashed through Fang Yi's mind. Is the reason why the tidal technique is called tidal technique related to tides? The so-called tides refer to the rising and falling tides of seawater, which usually occur twice a day. Of course, that is the earth. As for this world, Fang Yi is not sure. Just as Fang Yi was puzzled, a fat boy with a blue nose and swollen face limped in from the door. Fang Yi, you finally woke up, that's great. The obese boy couldn't help but feel happy when he saw Fang Yi wake up, but the smile fell on his scarred face, appearing somewhat ferocious. Upon hearing the sound, Fang Yi looked up and recognized the fat man at a glance. The chubby man's name is Linghai, and he shares a room with Fang Yi. Among the entire Taishan sect, the chubby man can be said to be his only friend. The two are equally strong, but the chubby man has good talent, just because he is lazy. Fatty guy, why are you hurt like this? Fang Yi blurted out, blending memories from 2 lifetimes, and his words and actions appeared extremely natural. Is it Su Xiaojie? Did you go find him? Damn it. That bastard beat you up like this, I just went to find him to argue, and the result. The fat man's tone was extremely unwilling, but his strength was not as good as that of a person. Fang Yi felt a warmth in his heart, and his anger also grew stronger. Fatty guy, thank you. I will definitely double my revenge. Yes, we must avenge this. I will never be lazy again, fat master. I don't believe that you can't kill that kid, the fat man said fiercely. After speaking, he sat cross-legged and began to practice. Watching the fat man covered in scars, Fang Yi was deeply moved. There are many disciples of the Fang family within the Taishan sect, but only the fat ones stand out for themselves. Former Fang Yi, inexperienced in the world, was ignorant of many things. But now, Fang Yi vaguely feels that this matter is not so simple. I have no grudges or grievances with Su Xiaojie. Even if he wants to snatch the blood coagulation grass, he doesn't need to be so ruthless. It's clear that he's taking his own life. Moreover, the other party is already a triple martial artist in the spirit sea, and second-grade spiritual medicine is dispensable for him. Who wants their own life behind the scenes? A fierce expression flashed in Fang Yi's eyes. No matter who you are, if you want my life, you must have the awareness of death. P.S. Newcomers and new books, we hope everyone can support us. We are looking for collections, recommendations, and various options. Recommend a new book, I have half a heavenly book, where the protagonist travels through his own novel, which is very interesting. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Bright Moon on the Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Moonlight on the Sea. In the morning, a ray of sunshine projects into the house. Throughout the night, Fang Yi was immersed in cultivation. Through the whole night of cultivation and observation, Fang Yi discovered some wonderful things. After the speed of the spiritual vortex slowed down, after a period of time, it became faster again, so repeatedly, but the time interval was not the same. Fang Yi immediately recorded these times, hoping to find some patterns from them. Because he suspected that this was likely the tidal time of this world. If one's speculation is correct, then as long as one masters the tidal schedule of this world and cultivates the tidal technique, they will definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. Stretching his body, Fang Yi got out of bed. After a night's rest, his injury is no longer serious. He still has to go to the miscellaneous office to collect tasks today. There are many disciples of the Taishan sect, and all daily affairs are assigned to the disciples below by miscellaneous measures. However, as long as their strength reaches the 6th level of the Spirit Sea, they will be exempted from miscellaneous tasks. This is also a means for the sect to motivate its disciples. After leaving the door, Fang Yi went directly to the miscellaneous office. His task today is to clean the inheritance room. Fang Yi is not unfamiliar with the inheritance room, as he has cleaned it several times before. Moreover, he also knew that the last 3 repetitions of the tide technique were in the inheritance room. The first 9 repetitions of the tide technique are all recorded in writing, but the last 3 repetitions are only 3 stone carvings and murals without any text, completely understood by oneself. Upon arriving at the inheritance room, Fang Yi began to clean it up. Originally, based on his cultivation, he was not qualified to enter here, but cleaning up is a matter of his own. Soon, Fang Yi had almost finished cleaning. Before the mural, people in groups of 3 or 2 were completely engrossed in watching it. Fang Yi also looked around curiously. The first mural depicts an endless sea, with surging waves sweeping in as if to engulf Fang Yi. This is a scene of tides. It seems that my guess is correct. The tidal technique is indeed closely related to tides. However, Fang Yi couldn't see anything special about it, which may be related to his weak strength. The second pattern is a night sky with a bright moon hanging high, but the moon looks much larger than it actually is. This pattern surprised Fang Yi slightly. Is this painting meant to tell others that the tidal technique is related to the moon? Although Fang Yi knew that tides are due to the gravitational pull of the moon, which is considered common knowledge on Earth, he did not expect that in this world without any technological civilization, some people also know this. After reading the 2 paintings, Fang Yi gained nothing and couldn't help but look towards the last one. However, this last painting is empty and has nothing, which cannot be considered a painting at all. Fang Yi couldn't help but be stunned. What does this mean? Although he did not comprehend anything from the first 2 paintings, he could not help but understand their meanings. It can even be said that no one in this world is clearer than him. Even the owner of this mural may only know that the moon and tides are related, and it is probably unclear what the relationship is. People in this world have no concept of planetary gravity. What exactly does this last painting mean? Fang Yi looked at the 2 murals ahead again with a puzzled expression. The surging waves and the big bright moon. Yes, the larger the moon, the more turbulent the tides will be. If we compare our spiritual sea to the sea, where is the bright moon? Suddenly, Fang Yi's gaze turned to the empty mural. Above, he seemed to see his own spiritual sea and a bright moon. Suddenly, the scene shook, and the bright moon transformed into a soft white light that shot through his body. Fang Yi was greatly surprised and quickly began to investigate. In the Sea of Spirits, a bright moon slowly rises. The sea gives birth to a bright moon. With the appearance of the bright moon, the spiritual vortex seemed to be greatly attracted and spun rapidly, crazily absorbing the spiritual energy from heaven and earth, with a speed that was more than 100 times faster than before. This. Fang Yi couldn't help but feel ecstatic. Feeling the spiritual vortex growing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, he would surpass everyone at such a speed, which made him unhappy. At the same time, on the highest peak of the Taishan sect, amidst the hazy clouds and in the vast palace in the center, a majestic old man seemed to have a sense of induction and suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a hint of shock. How could it be, the 12 tides technique? The old man's face was filled with disbelief, and no one had even comprehended the 11 tide technique. How could anyone have directly comprehended the 12 tides? Hurry up and find out who has comprehended the 12 tide technique, bring him here. Yes. Ancestor. In the void, a ethereal voice took command and left. In the next moment, a young man in blue descended from the sky, his eyes like a cold star, and his temperament was extraordinary. As soon as the guardian disciple saw the incoming person, he quickly bowed. The young man in blue turned a blind eye and entered the inheritance room directly. Fang Yi happened to come out of the room at this moment. The young man in blue glanced at him, frowned slightly, and passed by. Perhaps he never dreamed that the person who understood the 12 tides technique would be a disciple of the spirit C1. Fang Yi naturally did not know that the person who had just passed by was for himself, let alone that he had already alarmed the senior officials in the sect. At this moment, he just wants to go back early and study the changes in the spirit C well. Returning to his residence, the fat man was still soundly asleep. For some reason, he is particularly drowsy. The fat man himself once said that if there is a cultivation method in this world that can be practiced in dreams, then he must be the most talented one. Fang Yi can only smile at this. He was too lazy to wake up the fat man and closed his eyes to practice. In the spiritual sea, the bright moon hangs high, and the vortex of spiritual energy is spinning wildly, like a black hole. The spiritual energy from heaven and earth rushes in. The spiritual sea, which was originally only the size of an egg, has now grown more than twice as large. The vortex of spiritual energy is also getting bigger and richer. The short period of cultivation has already surpassed his achievements in the previous 3 months, and such a terrifying progress is simply shocking. Ha, heaven helps me too. Fang Yi was extremely excited in his heart. He was originally troubled by the natural talent of this body. Now, no matter how talented you are likely to be trampled on by yourself. Boom. 2 hours later, Fang Yi only felt a shock in the Linghai. The expanding spiritual vortex trembled slightly, as if it could no longer accommodate more spiritual energy, reaching its limit. Click. Trembling, the vortex of spiritual energy split apart and split into 2. Linghai Zhong. Is this a breakthrough? Fang Yi was overjoyed as if in a dream. Look at the Linghai Sea again. 2 identical aura whirlpools are still devouring the aura of heaven and earth, as if they have no end. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Test Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Test Skills. Hahaha. Fang Yi couldn't help but laugh wildly. He had never been so excited before. After calming his emotions, Fang Yi practiced for a while before leaving the door. Now that he has successfully broken through to Linghai Zhong, it is time for him to go to the library. The library is divided into 3 levels, with the first level consisting of relatively ordinary books, travelogues of predecessors, and the history of the sect, among others. The second and third floors store some precious martial arts skills, which is also the purpose of Fang Yi's trip. Arriving at the library, Fang Yi was about to enter, but unexpectedly, a figure blocked his way. Fang Yi. You trash are still alive. Fang Yi's eyes were cold, and he recognized the person who came, who was Zhao Wu, the attendant next to Su Xiaojie. Last time we snatched clotting grass and injured ourselves, the other party had a share. Good day, Fang Yi sneered and just came to practice his hand. Are you afraid? I'm alive, you're going to die soon. Ha ha ha. Zhao Wu burst into laughter, as if hearing the funniest joke in the world. At this moment, curious people gradually gathered around. Just say this, I'll save your life later. I want to see how you made us die. Zhao Wu instantly changed his face became extremely cold, and two fierce lights shot out of his eyes. There's a good show to watch now, Zhao Wu is the pinnacle of the Linghai. Yeah. Guess how many moves Fang Yi can take. The onlookers began to discuss, but no one was optimistic about Fang Yi. As you wish. Fang Yi sneered and casually punched. In the spiritual sea, two spiritual energy vortices trembled slightly, and powerful spiritual energy instantly poured into the fist. Humph, seek death. Zhao Wu's face was disdainful, and a fierce expression curved around his mouth. I saw him take a step forward, his momentum rising, as strong as a bull, and his huge fists met him like a hammer. TSK, the first level martial arts skill is Man Nyo Fist. Zhao Wu is really amazing, he even practiced this martial arts skill to the fullest. Yeah. With this punch, there's a lot of strength, and I'm afraid Fang Yi won't be able to take a single move. The words of the crowd spread to Zhao Wu's ears, making his face show a bit of pride. He only practiced the Man Nyo Fist to perfection yesterday and was about to show off in front of others. Unexpectedly, today Fang Yi, the live target, automatically came to his door. How unhappy this makes him. However, his joy only lasted for half a moment. At the next moment, their fists collided fiercely. Bang! With a muffled sound, a figure was knocked out and fell heavily to the ground. The onlookers could already imagine Fang Yi's tragic situation, shaking their heads incessantly. However, as their gaze cleared the field, they were all stunned. No one expected that it was not Fang Yi who flew out, but Zhao Wu. At this moment, the most shocking person is naturally Zhao Wu. Impossible. Lying on the ground, Zhao Wu couldn't believe everything in front of him. He got up in anger, kicked his legs, and charged towards Fang Yi again. Good day, Fang Yi's mouth curved into a cold smile. The vortex of spiritual energy suddenly shook. Who? Two figures intertwined as Fang Yi punched again. Bang! Kaka! Two fists met, and a sound of broken bones immediately came. Ah! Zhao Wu let out a gruesome cry like killing a pig, and his whole body flew backwards again. His entire arm bone has been broken inch by inch, which can be considered completely useless. Today I'll spare you a dog's life. Go back and tell Su Xiaojie to prepare for death. Fang Yi glanced at Zhao Wu, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, and then left. At this moment, the onlookers slowly reflected back from shock, and their gaze towards Fang Yi also changed. Wow, Fang Yi is so fierce. Has he already broken through to the second level of the Spirit Sea? So what? Zhao Wu is just fine. He dares to openly provoke Su Xiaojie. He's really looking for death. The chatter of the crowd gradually faded away. For all of this, Fang Yi did not take it to heart at all. Su Xiaojie is just the triple Spirit Sea. With his current cultivation speed, he may not be able to reach it in a few days. Entering the library, Fang Yi went straight up to the second floor. At the entrance, there is an elderly man with gray hair, known as Wu Lao by everyone, responsible for all matters related to the library. Upon arriving at the bookshelf, Fang Yi began to flip through the pages. The martial arts in this world are divided into grades 1 to 9 based on their level of power, but in the external library, there are only the first 6 grades of martial arts. The first to third level cultivation techniques stored on the second level are the fourth to sixth level. As for those above the sixth level, they can only be obtained by being promoted to an inner sect disciple. Legend has it that there are even more powerful martial arts above the 9th grade, but that is not something that ordinary people can obtain. Tiger-shaped fist, a first-class martial arts skill that moves like a fierce tiger and delivers like the wind. It requires a sect contribution of 50 points and can be borrowed for 1 month. Splitting gold and breaking stone palm is a second-level martial arts skill. When cultivated to perfection, it can easily split stones and divide gold. It requires a contribution of 200 points from the sect and can be borrowed for 1 month. Piercing the cloud finger, a third-level martial arts skill, points out like an arrow and rises straight to the 9th level of the clouds. It requires the sect to contribute 500 points and can be borrowed for 1 month. Fang Yi quickly flipped through it. The variety of martial arts techniques broadened his horizons. He already looks down on the first-level martial arts skills, and there are too many sect contributions required for the third-level martial arts skills. In the past 3 months, he has been working hard at the miscellaneous office to collect tasks and herbs, and has only earned over 500 points. It's really not worth it to exchange for a third-level martial arts skill. Moreover, with his dual cultivation level of Linghai, his cultivation of third-level martial arts skills is somewhat difficult. It seems that we can only choose second-level martial arts skills. Having made up his mind, Fang Yi focused on selecting second-level martial arts skills. As he flipped through each book, Fang Yi couldn't find what he wanted until in a corner of the bookshelf, a slightly yellowed cover of a martial arts book caught his eye. Snowflake Sword Technique, a second-level martial arts skill, was created by a senior member of the sect. Legend has it that this sword technique contains a hint of sword intent and requires the sect to contribute 300 points, which can be borrowed for a month. Sword intent. Fang Yi felt a slight heartbeat. It is extremely difficult to comprehend the meaning of the sword. Among the 3,000 disciples of the outer sect, only a few have grasped the meaning of the sword. It's you. After selecting the swordsmanship, Fang Yi plans to choose another body technique. Body method can be said to be extremely important. Not only can it assist in killing enemies, but it can also escape in critical moments. In the end, Fang Yi chose a second-grade Willow Catkins body technique. My body is like Willow Catkins, unpredictable and unpredictable. After selecting these 2 martial arts techniques, Fang Yi's sect contributions were basically squandered, which made him feel a bit painful. 3 months of hard work from his predecessor were exhausted by him at once. However, these expenses are necessary. Fang Yi knows that as his cultivation improves, earning sect contribution points will also be much easier. Upon arriving at the entrance, Fang Yi handed over his martial arts skills to Elder Wu for registration. Snowflake Sword Technique. Wu Lao frowned slightly, looked up at Fang Yi, and then shook his head. This swordsmanship once became popular in the outside world due to its so-called sword intent. However, countless facts have proven that this is an extremely ordinary swordsmanship. The theory of sword intent is simply baseless. A second-grade swordsmanship cannot truly contain any sword intent. For this reason, he deliberately placed this swordsmanship in a corner, but unexpectedly, it was still found by someone. Since that's the case, it's pointless for him to say more. Everything goes according to fate. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Colorful Soul Hunting Spider. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Colorful Soul Hunting Spider. Fang Yi naturally knew nothing about this. But even if he knew, he probably wouldn't hesitate. The sword intent is extremely rare, even if it's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, he is willing to give it a try, but it's just 300 sect points. Returning to his residence, the fat man was nowhere to be found. In order to improve his strength as soon as possible, Fang Yi has decided to make a trip to the wild mountains. I originally planned to say hello to the fat man, but now I have to give up. The wilderness mountains are vast and boundless, with ferocious beasts rampant, not inferior to human warriors at all, and even surpassing in strength. However, ferocious beasts are still ferocious beasts without spiritual intelligence. Therefore, under the same level of strength, humans have a slight advantage. In addition to ferocious beasts, there are also precious spiritual medicines and rare fruits that martial artists dream of in the mountains. It can be said that the wild mountains are the nightmare of warriors and their paradise. Leaving into the wilderness mountains, Fang Yi quickly shuttled back and forth. I started practicing the key techniques of willow catkins under my feet, while also paying attention to the surroundings. To enhance his strength, besides cultivation, what is more important is practical combat, which is also one of the reasons why Fang Yi entered the wild mountains. Instead of working in seclusion, it's better to find some equally powerful ferocious beasts to hunt and kill. Firstly, it can enhance one's strength, and secondly, perhaps one can also collect some spiritual medicines. After familiarizing oneself with body movements, Fang Yi began to comprehend the snowflake sword technique. The snowflake sword technique consists of 4 moves, namely, snowflake dancing, flying snow all over the sky, snow falling without a trace, and stepping on the snow to search for plum blossoms. However, this final version of searching for plum blossoms in the snow only has one name. This left Fang Yi very puzzled, but he had to let it go for the time being. With doubts, he began to comprehend the first move. Snowflakes dancing. This first move emphasizes lightness and elegance, with swords falling like snowflakes without a sound. In second-level martial arts, it may not be considered powerful, but it is difficult to defend against. Fang Yi should immediately start practicing. It only took him over an hour to feel some tricks, but he was not yet proficient. Moreover, he was pleasantly surprised to find that, combined with the willow catkins technique, this snowflake dance became even more eerie, as if born for assassination. It took a whole 10 days, and this snowflake dance was finally perfected by Fang Yi's cultivation. At the same time, his cultivation also broke through to the triple level of the spirit sea. In just 10 days, he broke through again. If it were in the past, he might not even dare to think about it, but now he feels it's taken for granted. Since the Linghai incident, his cultivation has been advancing rapidly. It's time to delve deeper. During these 10 days, Fang Yi has been mainly focused on cultivation, mostly in the outskirts of the wild mountains, and all he has encountered are first-order ferocious beasts. Now, his strength has improved, making him restless. Second-order ferocious beast, striped tiger. As they delved deeper, second-order ferocious beasts began to appear. Fang Yi smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth, intending to try his swordsmanship, and quickly approached. Ow! The striped tiger also noticed Fang Yi, let out a low roar, and then pounced, rolling up a gust of wind. Shuttle! Fang Yi's figure moved and he quickly rushed forward like lightning. Shoo! The next moment, a long sword pierced directly into the throat of the striped tiger, and blood dripped gently. Flash sale! The striped tiger showed no reaction and was instantly killed by Fang Yi with a sword. Such a massive striped tiger is not the enemy of Fang Yi's sword. After breaking through the 3 layers of the spirit sea, his strength is several times greater than before. The massive body slowly collapsed, with a faint hint of confusion in its eyes. Perhaps it didn't understand how it died. It seems that the second-level ferocious beast is still too weak. Fang Yi pulled out his long sword with satisfaction, feeling a little proud in his heart. After casually clearing the battlefield, they continued to move forward. Along the way, more and more second-level ferocious beasts died in his hands, mostly in one swift strike. This is certainly related to his cultivation, but more importantly, it is his snowflake sword technique. The second style, flying snow in the sky, has also been fully understood by Fang Yi. This version can be considered an upgraded version of the first style, which is not difficult to understand, but it is not easy to achieve. This pursuit is for speed. To stab dozens of swords in all directions in an instant, reaching a state of flying snow, is considered a great achievement. There is no limit to this type of sword. According to the book, the person who created the snowflake sword technique can stab hundreds of swords in an instant, truly forming flying snow in the sky. However, the authenticity of this record is unknown. With hundreds of swords, Fang Yi couldn't even imagine it. In the dense forest, a gentle breeze blew by and leaves drifted down. Fang Yi drew his sword, silently and swiftly like lightning, leaving sword shadows in the air. Shoo! 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 The wind stops, the leaves fall. I saw 10 leaves wearing on his long sword. 10 swords, this is the limit that Fang Yi has reached so far. Don't underestimate these 10 swords, their speed is at least several times faster than that of martial artists of the same level. Third order ferocious beast, colorful soul capturing spider. Finally, the first third order ferocious beast appeared in Fang Yi's sight. That is a colorful spider, with 8 thick and long legs, supporting its tabletop-sized body. The thick and thin spider silk sprayed out from its mouth, directly rolling up a strange bird flying through the sky and devouring it in an instant. Good guy. Fang Yi was stunned at the sight. This is the first time he has seen such a fierce spider. The colorful soul-hunting spider clearly also spotted Fang Yi, moving its 8 long legs together and rushing towards this side at lightning speed. Fang Yi also welcomed him, and as he was about to wield his long sword, he saw a spider silk shoot rapidly towards him. Having just witnessed the opponent's attack, Fang Yi was already prepared. With his long sword, he immediately slashed towards the spider silk. Ding! The spider silk snapped in response to the sound, but Fang Yi felt as if it had been chopped onto a steel wire, and couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. The third level ferocious beast is indeed much more powerful than the second level, even a single spider silk is so powerful. Shuttle! 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 The colorful soul-capturing spider once again spewed out several strands of spider silk, forming a web and covering it head-on. If this is covered up, Fang Yi will definitely tie up his hands and be captured, becoming a plate meal for the colorful soul-capturing spider. However, how could Fang Yi be so easily covered up? Flying snow all over the sky. Shoo! 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 Sword shadows danced in the sky, and the entire spider web instantly broke into pieces. Animal, suffer death. Fang Yi snorted coldly, and snowflakes fluttered and took action again. Since comprehending the second move, the snowflake dance has become faster, and these two sword techniques complement each other. Shoo! Fang Yi's long sword unexpectedly pierced into the abdomen of the colorful soul-capturing spider, and a yellow, green, and green liquid instantly flowed out. It was not easy to miss such a large target. No matter how fast the colorful soul-hunting spider is, it is still no faster than the long sword in Fang Yi's hand. The colorful soul-catching spider was in pain, its body twisted and its 8 long legs were crawling frantically, appearing extremely painful. Puff! Suddenly, a black mist sprayed out of its mouth, and a foul odor instantly spread out. Fang Yi didn't check for a moment and inhaled a little. He suddenly felt a bit dizzy, and his body suddenly retreated. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Fierce Beast Promotion. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. Fierce Beasts Advance. Just exit the black mist range and stabilize your figure. I was careless, this thing actually sprays toxic mist. Fortunately, I didn't inhale much, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. Fang Yi secretly felt fortunate that his strength had skyrocketed during this period, which made him a bit overconfident. In the future, he should be more careful in his actions. After the 5-colored soul-hunting spider sprayed out a poisonous mist, it seemed to have exhausted its strength. Combined with the abdominal wound, he struggled for a while before dying completely. Fang Yi breathed a sigh of relief and looked at the scattered spider silk on the ground, his eyes couldn't help but brighten. The silk of the colorful soul-taking spider is a good thing. It can be made into soft armor and can also be submitted to the sect to exchange for sect contribution points. At present, he quickly collected it. Time slowly passes by like this. Fang Yi practiced in the mountains while hunting down ferocious beasts, enjoying it tirelessly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed, and Fang Yi had been in the wilderness mountains for almost a month. In this month, he has gained a lot, collecting a lot of first and second grade spiritual medicines. Of course, the biggest gain is still cultivation. At this point, he has reached the triple peak of the Spirit Sea and may break through to the fourth peak at any time. The Willow Catkin's body technique has also achieved some success. As for the Snowflake Sword technique, the first 2 moves have been integrated, and the third move, Snow Falling Without a Trace, has also been fully understood. Snow falls without a trace on the surface, it still emphasizes speed and lightness, so fast that a sword passes without leaving any marks. However, Fang Yi also comprehended another important meaning in it, which is a hidden character that hides the sword in the heart, making it impossible for opponents to discover your sword. The sword has no trace to follow and can be killed in one blow. However, understanding is not something that can be achieved overnight, and it requires years of practice. Perhaps this is precisely where snowflake swordsmanship is not favored. However, Fang Yi regarded it as a treasure, and he vaguely felt that this snowflake sword technique far exceeded his second-level martial arts skills. What slightly disappointed him was the sword intent. Among these 3 types of swordsmanship, he couldn't find any trace of sword intent, perhaps in the final form, but the final form only had the 4 words, stepping on the snow and searching for plum blossoms, which left him completely confused. It's almost time to go back. The January period is approaching, and both the snowflake sword technique and the willow fluff body technique must be returned. Moreover, it's time to settle some accounts. Fang Yi made up his mind and quickly retreated. At this moment, his body movements are countless times faster than when he first entered, like arrows. Boom! At this moment, a loud noise came from not far away, with a great force. Fang Yi couldn't help but be slightly taken aback, feeling a little curious in his heart, and he leaned forward involuntarily. Wow! I saw a double-headed python swiftly shuttling towards me, its silver scales shining brightly in the sunlight. This is suddenly a 4th-order ferocious beast silver-scaled double-headed python. This silver-scaled 2-headed python is as thick as a bucket, several tens of meters long. Its 2 huge heads are raised high and spit out long letters, making a hissing sound that makes people shudder. Especially those 4 cold and eerie eyes, caught a glance by it as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. Fang Yi couldn't help but feel his heart racing and ready to move. A 4th-level ferocious beast, with his current cultivation at the pinnacle of the Spirit Sea, may not be unable to fight in one battle. Just as Fang Yi was considering whether or not to take action. Suddenly, 3 figures darted out from behind the silver-scaled 2-headed python, instantly surrounding it in the middle. These 3 figures were clearly being pursued along the way. Fang Yi quickly hid and began to scrutinize the 3 people in the scene. Fang Hao. Fang Yi recognized the person at a glance, and the leader was Fang Hao from the same family as Fang Yi, as well as his 2 companions, Chen Jiu and Wang Lin. Speaking of Fang Hao, his talent in the Fang family is also very outstanding, and his strength has reached the 4th level of the Spirit Sea. However, this guy has always looked down on Fang Yi and often makes sarcastic remarks. Haha. Brother Hao, if we kill this beast, we will develop. The speaker is Chen Jiu, and both he and Wang Lin are Linghai triple, always following Fang Hao's lead. Be careful, you two. This beast is very fierce, Fang Hao reminded and took the lead in attacking the silver-scaled double-headed python. At the same time, Chen Jiu and Wang Lin also attacked together. Boom! The thick and sturdy tail of the silver-scaled double-headed python seemed like a long whip from the Grim Reaper, sweeping across and causing the big trees to break one by one. Ding! 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 The long sword fell like raindrops on the scales of the silver-scaled python, just like falling on a golden object, leaving only shallow marks, but not harming it in the slightest. Damn it, This beast's scales are too hard. Haha. Fong Hao didn't take it seriously, but laughed heartily. The harder the better, the more valuable it would be. Attacking at 7 inches is its weakness. The two of them were also overjoyed to hear Fong Hao's words. Fong Yi on the side was moved by the sight. If this scaly armor were made into a soft armor, it would be perfect. The 3 people in the field cooperated very well, and the silver-scaled 2-headed python gradually fell into the wind. If it weren't for its scales and armor being as hard as iron, it would probably have been nowhere to be seen. Bang! The silver-scaled 2-headed python was clearly furious, with its massive body charging forward and forth, and the entire jungle in disarray, like a post-disaster scene. The 3 of them dared not be careless, avoiding their sharp edges and restraining each other. When the speed of the silver-scaled 2-headed python slowed down slightly, Fong Hao suddenly moved and his body was as fast as lightning. Second-level martial arts. Chasing the wind sword technique. Chen Jiu and Wang Lin almost launched an attack at the same time, wielding 3 swords that aimed straight at the vital points of the silver-scaled 2-headed python. Puff! Puff! The massive head of the silver-scaled 2-headed python suddenly spewed out 2 spiritual energies, like 2 sharp arrows, rushing towards it. Bang! Bang! Chen Jiu and Wang Lin were unexpectedly knocked away, but Fong Hao successfully stabbed one of the heads of the silver-scaled double-headed python, with blood flowing like a spring. Hiss! The silver-scaled 2-headed python was in pain, and its body was rolling desperately, as if flipping over a river or a sea. Hao Gu, you're great. Chen Jiu and Wang Lin were hit, but the injuries were not serious. Seeing that one head of the silver-scaled 2-headed python was considered useless at this moment, their hearts were filled with excitement. The 3 of them didn't rush to take action, but instead proudly watched the silver-scaled 2-headed python rolling non-stop. Fong Yi knew that the silver-scaled 2-headed python was just struggling to the death at this moment, and the few of them had to wait until it was exhausted before tidying up the mess. Looking at the scales and armor of the silver-scaled double-headed python, Fong Yi couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. It seemed that he didn't have his own share. Suddenly, Fong Yi noticed a faint golden light slowly emerging from the scales of the silver-scaled double-headed python. At the same time, its injured head quickly dried up, as if its essence was slowly being drained away. Damn it! This beast is absorbing the power of another head and is about to be promoted to a 5th-level ferocious beast. Hurry up and kill it, otherwise when its scales and armor turn golden, none of us will want to leave. Fong Hao clearly realized something was wrong and his face changed drastically. Chen Jiu and Wang Lin were shocked upon hearing this, and the 3 of them launched another attack. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Father's Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Father's Crisis. The silver-scaled 2-headed python took a sword and has completely gone berserk. Now it's a crucial moment for promotion again. How can it not get angry when the 3 of them attack again? Boom boom. The massive body of the silver-scaled 2-headed python was crushed directly, and its high head was ejected with a powerful force. This momentum was several times stronger than before, and the 3 of them dared to take it hard and retreated one after another. At the same time, the agile tail of the silver-scaled 2-headed python rolled over at the same time. Rewind quickly. Fong Hao let out a hurried shout, but it was too late. Chen Jiu was instantly curled up by the tail of the silver-scaled double-headed python, and his massive body moved slightly. Kaka. A sound of broken bones rang out. Help me. At this moment, Chen Jiu's entire face was twisted and he screamed in agony. This scene also made Fong Yi tremble with fear and fear. Wang Lin, hurry up and take the opportunity to kill this beast. Fong Hao let out a loud shout and woke up Wang Lin, who had already been frightened to the side. He also took the opportunity to attack. Obviously, he has given up on Chen Jiu. Chen Jiu seemed to have also realized this, with a face full of unwillingness, and was immediately engulfed by the massive body of the silver-scaled double-headed python. Wang Lin woke up in shock and quickly attacked, but the opponent Hao felt a hint of vigilance in his heart, afraid that he would be abandoned like Chen Jiu. Shoo! Fang Hao seized this excellent opportunity and stabbed the other head of the silver-scaled double-headed python with a sword. Boom! The silver-scaled two-headed python was in pain, and its massive body struggled desperately before finally stopping slowly. The two of them immediately breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Chen Jiu's body rolled down and had been twisted into a fried dough twists, which was horrible. In the situation just now, I can't save Chen Jiu at all, and even if I do, he will definitely die. Perhaps realizing that his behavior may make Wang Lin resentful, Fang Hao explained. Wang Lin nodded involuntarily, as the situation at the time was indeed like this. Fang Yi shook his head as he watched from the side. He knew a little about Fang Hao, who was cold and ruthless. Even if he had just successfully saved his companion, he would never give up the excellent opportunity to hunt and kill the silver-scaled double-headed python. Let's go and see what we've gained this time, Fang Hao nodded as he knew his words had an effect. Immediately, the two of them arrived at the body of the silver-scaled double-headed python. Now we have developed. With such a large silver-scaled double-headed python, it is enough to make several sets of soft armor. Fang Hao appeared extremely happy and laughed heartily. Just as he was about to peel off the python's skin. Suddenly, the silver-scaled two-headed python opened its bloody mouth and swallowed it directly. This silver-scaled double-headed python has not yet died. Fang Hao's face suddenly changed in fear, but the distance was too close, and he was unprepared. As he was about to be devoured by the silver-scaled double-headed python, he quickly grabbed Wang Lin beside him and blocked himself. Fang Hao, you bastard! Wang Lin was furious and easily stabbed Fang Hao with a sword. At the same time, the silver-scaled two-headed python bit his head with one bite, and blood and brain plasma burst out. Fang Hao didn't expect Wang Lin to be able to take action in such a situation. He was stabbed in the abdomen and blood rushed out. After the silver-scaled two-headed python bit and exploded Wang Lin's head, it seemed to have no strength anymore and collapsed completely dead. Damn it, you dare to take action against me. Fang Hao was furious, covering his wound with one hand and slashing at Wang Lin's body with a sword in the other. It wasn't until the body rotted into a ball of flesh and mud that he felt relieved. Such cruel means made Fang Yi shake his head in amazement. Who is it? Just as Fang Yi was about to lift his foot and leave, Fang Hao suddenly looked over and clearly found something. Get out of here! Fang Hao exclaimed, looking alert. Fang Yi smiled helplessly and slowly walked out. So it's you, trash. Fang Hao, who was originally wary, relaxed instantly when he saw that the person coming was Fang Yi. He was really afraid of what kind of expert was hiding in the dark, which would cause trouble. As for Fang Yi, he completely ignored it. I didn't expect you, a useless person, to have a big life. Last time, not only did you not die, but I heard you also broke through to the level of Linghai Erzhong. Fang Hao's teasing tone was full of irony. Fang Yi frowned, as the other person's words clearly seemed to know something. Did you instruct Su Xiaojie? Fang Yi probed. Me. Fang Hao couldn't help but burst out laughing. Are you the only one who deserves it? I'm afraid you don't know yet. There are many people who want your life, but your father disregarded the family's opposition and lost huge family interests before allowing you to enter the Taishan sect. His behavior has already angered the public. The Elder Council has decided to dismiss him as the clan leader and deal with him according to the clan rules. You're talking nonsense. My father is still the head of the Fang family, Fang Yi shouted. Fool. That's because it's not yet time. 3 months later, the family will have a big competition, and all the disciples of the Fang family who are practicing outside will go back. The elders will deal with your father in front of all the members of the clan. Do you know why someone wants your life? They are afraid of your father's strength and want to use it to strike him. Fang Yi had some doubts at first, but now he had a bit of faith in his heart. I didn't have much interest in this matter at first, but I didn't expect to become an accomplice now. Who said you saw something you shouldn't have seen? Fang Hao gave a cold smile and slowly approached. Thank you for telling me all of this. I will make your death a little more enjoyable later, Fang Yi said calmly as he put aside his thoughts. Fang Hao was clearly taken aback and then burst into laughter. Fool, do you think I'm injured and can't take you down? I don't know how thick and thin the sky is, let's die. After speaking, he swung his sword, with heavy and fierce shadows. It is the second-level martial arts technique of chasing the wind sword. As a second-level martial arts skill, this chasing wind sword technique is more aggressive than the snowflake sword technique, but it is not as eerie as the snowflake sword technique. Snowflakes dancing, Fang Yi calmly welcomed him forward. Although the opponent is a warrior of the 4 layers of Linghai, Fang Yi has confidence in a battle. Moreover, the opponent suffered another injury after a major battle, and their strength was not as strong as before. Chang! 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 In an instant, the 2 long swords clashed dozens of times in the air. Fang Hao's originally relaxed and contented expression gradually solidified, replaced by a look of shock on his face. Impossible, how could you be so powerful? You have broken through to the 3rd level of the Spirit Sea. No, it's almost the 4th level of the Spirit Sea. How could this be? Fang Hao looked at Fang Yi in horror, as if he had seen a ghost. Flying snow all over the sky, the answer to him was dozens of sword shadows, piercing at various vital points throughout his body almost at the same time. Fang Hao was shocked and lost his composure, so he had to avoid the heavy and take it lightly. Brush! Brush! Suddenly, 2 sword shadows cut through his arm, and blood instantly dyed his sleeve red. Fang Hao couldn't believe the fact before him. The waste he had always looked down upon could actually harm him. How could he accept this? Fang Yi, you go die for me. He was extremely angry, with a sharp sword cutting straight down, ready to go all out. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Storage Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. Life and Death Platform. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Life and Death Platform, Storage Ring. Fang Yi's eyes lit up instantly. This is a good thing and very practical. After refining the soft armor, although there is still a lot of python skin left, if it is worth a storage ring, Fang Yi still has self-awareness. Jiulao clearly doesn't want to take advantage of himself. In that case, the younger generation will be more comfortable with defecation. Fang Yi paused and replied. It doesn't matter if you take advantage of the situation and take what you need. I can't come up with anything else besides this, said the old wine man nonchalantly. Okay. Fang Yi naturally won't refuse, and both parties agreed to come and collect the soft armor and storage ring in 3 days. After leaving Duobao Pavilion, Fang Yi directly returned to the sect. Returning the martial arts to the library, he had originally planned to switch to another martial arts school, but with the Xingyan sword technique, Fang Yi was not in a hurry. Immediately, Fang Yi went to the spirit medicine pavilion again and submitted the spirit medicine and some materials to the sect, in exchange for over 1,000 sect contribution points. He earned so many sect contribution points in one go, which Fang Yi could not believe in the past. But now, he hasn't had much reaction. Fang Yi, why are you still here? Hurry up and hide, Su Xiaojie is looking for you all over the world. Just as he left the spirit medicine pavilion, suddenly a voice called out to Fang Yi. The speaker's name is Zhao Mingde, and he doesn't usually get along well with Fang Yi. He has a kind heart. Fang Yi smiled gratefully. I was just about to find the other person, just right. Since the last time you injured Zhao Wu, Su Xiaojie has threatened to kill you. During this time, you have not appeared. He is angry and often takes out the fat guy. Today, he caught the fat guy again, Zhao Mingde continued. His voice was suppressed extremely low, as if afraid of being heard by others, and it reached Su Xiaojie's ears. What are you talking about? Fat guy. Fang Yi was furious, his momentum skyrocketed in vain, and his fists clenched with a gurgling sound. Su Xiaojie, I want your life. Zhao Mingde only felt a flash in front of him, and Fang Yi's figure was already 10 meters away. Such momentum and speed seemed impossible for even the martial artists of the Spirit Sea Triple, which surprised him greatly, and he followed suit. At this moment, Fang Yi was extremely angry. The fat guy had already been beaten up by Su Xiaojie last time for his own sake, and now how can this keep him from getting angry? He can never allow his friends to repeatedly suffer harm because of himself. Bang! Arriving at Su Xiaojie's residence, Fang Yi kicked the door and broke in directly. Su Xiaojie, get out of here. Bold! With a cold shout, the two of them walked out of the room, led by a gloomy young man named Su Xiaojie. As for the other person, it was Zhao Wu, and now one of his hands is completely useless, hanging down on his shoulder. The enemy's eyes were particularly red when they met, and at this moment his teeth were clenching. Jia Xiao, you must help me kill him. Su Xiaojie raised his head and glanced coldly at Fang Yi, mocking him, I didn't expect you, a useless person, to have the courage to come to your door. That's great. Su Xiaojie, hand over the fat guy to me. Fang Yi suppressed his anger. If it weren't for the fat guy still in the other party's hands, he would have directly killed him. How could he talk nonsense? No problem, what I want is your life. Since you're here, the fat guy naturally doesn't need it anymore. With his words, the fat man was carried out with bloodstains, which was unbearable. Fang Yi could hardly recognize it. Fang Yi, you. Why are you so foolish? Since you've brought it to your door, they dare not take my life, at most they'll just beat me up. The fat man's voice was extremely weak, intermittent. Looking at the miserable situation of the fat man, Fang Yi couldn't stop being angry and wished to tear the other person in half. But the fat man's words also reminded him. Although Tai Xian's sect does not care about the struggles of its disciples, there is always a limit to everything. Once one's life is harmed, the punishment is also quite severe. Mild cases may result in expulsion from the sect, while severe cases may involve direct suppression. Su Xiaojie, don't you want my life? Do you dare to go to the stage of life and death with me? Ha ha ha. Su Xiaojie smiled happily. You're asking for your own death, you can't blame anyone else. The platform of life and death, as the name suggests, is either alive or dead. In the world of the strong, in order to resolve some irreconcilable conflicts among disciples, Emperor Xuanzong specially established a life and death platform. As long as both sides voluntarily ascend to the life and death platform, the sect will not interfere. Someone is going to the stage of life and death, and the news spreads like the wind. In a moment, many people surrounded the stage of life and death. Fang Yi, you're too impulsive. The chubby man looked anxious, obviously not looking good at Fang Yi. No wonder they live in the same room, and Fang Yi knows his strength the best. Although he hasn't seen him for a month, even if he has improved, he can never be a match for Su Xiaojie. Don't worry. Fatty guy, I said this grudge will be fought back even more today. Fang Yi smiled faintly. At this moment, Zhao Mingde has also arrived next to the two of them. Brother Zhao, the fat guy is injured. Can you help take care of him? Fang Yi asked after looking at Zhao Mingde. Okay. Zhao Mingde seemed to have made some kind of decision. He didn't initially have a positive outlook on Fang Yi, but now he doesn't seem like a reckless person at all. Fang Yi smiled gratefully and without hesitation, climbed onto the stage of life and death. Su Xiaojie almost took the stage at the same time. A burst of cheers erupted in the crowd. Fang Yi is really foolish. As long as he doesn't go to the stage of life and death, he will at most be scolded by Su Xiaojie. Now that he's better, he doesn't even have his life. He deserved it. He injured Zhao Wu and dared to openly provoke Su Xiaojie. What do you know? It was Su Xiaojie who almost killed Fang Yi at first. The crowd began to discuss one after another. On the stage, Su Xiaojie looked at Fang Yi with a disdainful expression on his face, with a hint of mockery at the corner of his mouth, without any regard for Fang Yi. Tell me your last words as soon as possible, otherwise you won't have a chance. In the same words, I'll give it to you too. Fang Yi said coldly. Humph, my mouth is quite hard. Take action. For the sake of your impending death, if I do, you won't have a chance. Su Xiaojie looked quite bold. He is so generous, nothing but to win the favor of the audience. How could Fang Yi not fulfill him, as you wish? I saw Fang Yi's figure flicker, leaving behind remnants in the air. Pop. Then a crisp voice rang out. 5 clear fingerprints appeared on Su Xiaojie's face. The whole scene was silent, and everyone was stunned. No one expected that with just one move, Su Xiaojie would be hit straight. And it's still his face, this is to make him lose face. What's going on? I'm not feeling dizzy, right? Su Xiaojie got slapped. TSK, I didn't expect Fang Yi to be so powerful. Now Su Xiaojie is in dire straits. At this moment, the whole room was in an uproar. Bastard! Su Xiaojie felt the fiery face on fire, burning with anger, and raised his sword to attack. Anger made him lose his sanity, so much so that he couldn't even think about what would have happened if it weren't just a slap, but a sword. P.S. Newcomers and new books, we hope everyone supports us. We are looking for collections, recommendations, and a variety of books. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The People Behind the Scenes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The People Behind the Scenes. The sharp sword peak came with Su Xiaojie's boundless anger. Go to hell. Su Xiaojie bared his teeth and grinned, with a ferocious expression. He couldn't resist stabbing Fang Yi into a honeycomb with a single sword. Fang Yi gave a cold smile, his figure flickered again, and he quickly welcomed him. However, he still did not draw his sword and was unarmed. Shuttle. Su Xiaojie stabbed his sword into the air and was stunned on the spot. It turned out that Fang Yi's figure had already disappeared. The next moment, a huge fist slowly dilated in his pupils. Bang! With a muffled sound, the violent fist hit him directly in the face. Puff! I saw Su Xiaojie spewing out a mouthful of blood, his teeth scattered all over the ground, and his entire body spun several times in the air before landing heavily on the ground. The whole room fell silent once again. If the first time was due to Fang Yi's surprise, what about the second time? At this moment, everyone knows that this is not a level of battle at all, and Su Xiaojie will undoubtedly die today. However, they still couldn't believe that a month ago, Fang Yi had just broken through to the second level of the Linghai. In just 1 month, Su Xiaojie, who had already been able to hit the third level of the Linghai, had no strength to fight back. What cultivation is Fang Yi today? Linghai triple. No, just triple cannot achieve this, at least it should have reached the peak of triple, or even the 4th level of Linghai. In a month, from the 2nd level of Linghai to the 4th level, at such a speed, perhaps only the most talented new disciples from the outside world, Lin Shaohan, Ming Jianqin, and Su Mingyue, can achieve this. However, these 3 people were able to achieve this still because there was a huge amount of resource support behind it, but what did Fang Yi have? Understanding these, the onlookers looked at Fang Yi with a noticeable change in their eyes. Damn it! Fang Yi is so powerful, he's hiding deep enough. Good job, Su Xiaojie is also today. He deserves his usual arrogance and arrogance. It's up to him who can save him this time. The fat man also regained his senses from the shock and appeared excited. Zhao Mingde was also a bit excited, getting close to Fang Yi, but he took great risks. If Fang Yi was defeated, Su Xiaojie would have to trouble him. Now that he saw Fang Yi so strong, how could he be unhappy? Impossible. You trash can't beat me. On stage, Su Xiaojie couldn't accept the fact in front of him. He was hysterical and his long sword was chopping and slashing like a wild knife. Bang! 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 This is for returning the clotting grass that you snatched from me last time, and this is for returning it to the fat guy. Fang Yi punched one after another, and his fierce fists rained down like raindrops, hitting Su Xiaojie's face heavily, splattering blood. Su Xiaojie had little ability to fight back, and his entire face was completely unrecognizable. The scene was very bloody, and the onlookers looked at it in disbelief. Along with that, the gaze towards Fang Yi also became somewhat awe-inspiring. Good job, kill him. There were people shouting in the crowd, some who were usually bullied by Su Xiaojie, and some who were causing a commotion. The noise was deafening. At this moment, Su Xiaojie was already on the brink of death. Fang Yi's anger was almost vented in his heart, and he then mentioned the other person, Su Xiaojie, tell me, who instructed you to kill me? Su Xiaojie knew he would definitely die, and a hint of sarcasm curved his lips. With a weak breath, he said, you. Never think. Idiot, do you think if you don't say it, I won't know if it's Fang Wuxin? Fang Yi sneered. How do you know? It's indeed him. Fang Yi's eyes turned cold. Thank you. I wasn't sure at first, but now I know. You. Fang Yi, you have to die hard. I'll wait for you below. Su Xiaojie was extremely angry and spat out a mouthful of blood, then there was no more life. Humph. Then you can wait slowly. Fang Yi snorted lightly and immediately stepped off the stage of life and death. Under the complex gaze of the crowd, he helped the fat man and quickly left. Fang Yi, have you become so fierce? Where have you been this month? Returning to his residence, the fat man eagerly asked with strong curiosity. I went to the wild mountains once, and as for why it has become so powerful. Fang Yi looked at the chubby guy thoughtfully and had some plans in mind, so he smiled faintly. Fatty guy, do you want to become as powerful as me? The fat man was a bit confused, but still nodded hard. Okay, but remember to keep it a secret. Fang Yi gave a warning, then picked up a pen and paper and wrote a bunch of inexplicable numbers for the fat man to see. To be precise, these numbers represent some time, which was calculated by Fang Yi through observation during this period, and represent the tidal schedule of this world. The tide technique is closely related to tides, and practicing it during the arrival of tides will result in a much faster speed than usual. Moreover, this speed will exponentially increase with the increase of spiritual energy in the body. When the cultivation level is low, the difference is not significant. The higher the cultivation level, the greater the difference. When Fang Yi first arrived in this world, he realized this. He had originally planned it for himself. However, since the spiritual sea mutation, there has been a moon in his spiritual sea, and his spiritual energy is constantly in the tide, and it is the most intense tide. These schedules naturally have no meaning to him. Fatty guy, you memorize these times for me, then destroy them. No matter how busy you are in the future, you must practice the tidal technique during these times. Fang Yi cautiously confessed. Is that enough? The chubby man looked puzzled and carefully took over the schedule. Fang Yi smiled without directly answering, just give it a try and you'll know. The fat man nodded, although somewhat skeptical, he believed in Fang Yi. However, looking at the schedule, most of it was in the middle of the night, which made the fat man feel a bit depressed. However, after experiencing this, the fat man has made up his mind to practice well. Isn't it just a little less sleep? I don't believe the fat guy anymore. As he spoke, the fat man began to memorize the schedule. Fang Yi didn't disturb him either, and a scene on the stage of life and death came to mind. After learning the truth from Fang Hao, he vaguely guessed who wanted his life. In the entire Fang family, the only one who can compete with his father and unite with the Presbyterian Church to dismiss his father as the clan leader is Fang Zhenglong, the father of Fang Wuxin. Fang Zhenglong has been coveting the position of clan leader and hoping to replace it. How could they miss such a good opportunity right now? As his precious son Fang Wuxin, it is not difficult to understand why he wants to kill himself. Great, since you want me to die, let's see whose life is harder. Fang Yi's heart turned sideways. Although Fang Wuxin had exceptional talent and was already a warrior of the 6 levels of the Spirit Sea, he was not worried. He had only practiced for a month and had reached his current level. In no time, he had the confidence to step on the opponent. Besides, he still has 3 months left. Humph, Fang Zhenglong, I will give you a big gift for the family comparison in 3 months' time. End of this chapter. 10, Chapter 10. The 4 Elements of Linghai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The 4 Elements of Linghai. It was night, and the fat man had already memorized the Tidal schedule and was immersed in cultivation. Fang Yi is no exception. Time is tight, and he cannot relax for the next 3 months. He is so strong today, and Fang Wuxin will definitely not let himself go. If he is not careful, he may be killed by the other party. The only hope at present is to improve our strength as soon as possible, otherwise we may not be able to hold on until 3 months later. As for his own father's side, Fang Yi is not very worried. Even if Fang Hao could know the news, his father must have known it long ago. What I need to do is not to burden my father. Of course, if the family is superior and one can achieve good enough results, then the elders will definitely not hold their father accountable. However, all of this requires strength as a backing. Strength. Fang Yi has never had such a strong desire before. In the spiritual sea, the 3 rich spiritual vortex became more and more condensed, clearly reaching the edge of breakthrough. Try this chi-gathering pill. Fang Yi thought and took out a small bottle, poured out a pill, and swallowed it. In an instant, a warm current turned into a rich spiritual energy and merged into the spiritual vortex, spinning rapidly. Not enough. Fang Yi swallowed 3 more in a row, and the thick spiritual energy instantly pushed the vortex of spiritual energy to its limit. Boom. 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 In the sea of spirits, the vortex of spiritual energy trembled violently, and 3 vortex of spiritual energy intertwined with each other before recombining and dividing into 4. Linghai quadruple. Finally breaking through, Fang Yi did not show too much excitement. It has been 20 days since the last breakthrough, and this speed is unbelievable for outsiders, but Fang Yi is not satisfied. There is a bright moon in my own spiritual sea, and the vortex of spiritual energy is crazily absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, with a speed that is more than 100 times faster than others. However, a few demonic geniuses in the outer door are still no worse than themselves. Although Fang Yi knew that these people were supported by huge resources and there were countless precious pills behind them. Just like the chi-gathering pill in my hand, although it is the lowest level, the spiritual energy contained in it cannot be underestimated. The more precious pills can be imagined. It seems that in order to improve one's cultivation as soon as possible, one also needs to obtain pills. However, Fang Yi also knew that this matter could not be solved in a short while. He cleared his mind of distractions and continued to cultivate. After consolidating his realm, Fang Yi took out the Xingyun sword technique and began to look through it. Since obtaining this swordsmanship, Fang Yi has not had time to examine it. At this moment, he is deeply attracted by it. The cloud sword technique is divided into 4 types, namely, flowing clouds and flowing water, dark clouds and dense clouds, rising clouds and scattering rain, and wind, clouds and colorful changes. These 4 forms are stronger than each other, and are considered relatively strong in the 3rd level martial arts. Similarly, it is relatively difficult to cultivate them. However, Fang Yi did not believe it. Instead, he felt that it was relatively easier than snowflake swordsmanship. Time slowly passed as Fang Yi focused on his cultivation. In the past few days, Fang Yi's fame has gradually spread among his disciples outside the sect. It is not because of his strength, but because of his cultivation speed. Almost everyone believes that he has taken a large amount of elixirs. This behavior of pulling out seedlings and promoting growth can easily cause instability in his foundation, leading to his madness. Many people are waiting to see his joke. Fang Yi naturally wouldn't take these rumors to heart. The fat man sneered even more. Through these 2 days of cultivation, he clearly felt the improvement in cultivation, and he also worked harder to cultivate. To their surprise, no one came to trouble them these past few days. I thought Su Xiaojie's death would be somewhat troublesome, but I didn't expect it to be so peaceful. Fatty guy, I went to Fengshe for a trip. How about practicing well? Fang Yi bid farewell to the chubby guy and walked out directly. Today is the day he and Jiulao agreed upon. Thinking that he would soon receive a soft armor and a storage ring, Fang Yi was overjoyed. However, Fang Yi was unaware that someone was inquiring about his news in another courtyard on the same mountain peak. That person is Qi Yunfei, with a gloomy face at the moment. Senior brother Qi, I have checked everything and found that the few people who walked closer to Fang Hao and the others had their own destinations that day and did not go into the mountain with them. Therefore, it is impossible for the python skin to be in their hands. Listening to the conclusion of his confidant Shang Xingwen, a hint of anger appeared on Qi Yunfei's face. 3 days later, he still had no idea who the python skin had fallen into his hands. He originally thought that the other party must be familiar with Fang Hao and the 3 of them, and together they hunted and killed the 2-headed python. In the end, he wanted to swallow it alone, so he killed Fang Hao and the others. With this clue, he believes he will soon be able to find that person. But now it seems that this is not the case. Is the 4th person simply an unrelated passerby? If that's the case, then there's no way to investigate. Senior brother Qi, perhaps we can start from another perspective, Shang Xingwen thought for a moment and continued. That person got python skin and either sold it or refined it into soft armor. Regardless, Duobao Pavilion is undoubtedly the best choice. Not bad. Qi Yunfei's face lit up with joy. Junior brother Shang is indeed thoughtful. You should go to Duobao Pavilion immediately. If you can find out that person this time, I will definitely give you a soft armor. With your spiritual C's 4 levels of cultivation, with this soft armor, you can stand invincible among your peers. Thank you, senior brother Qi. Shang Xingwen was deeply moved and immediately retreated. Qi Yunfei also left immediately. Duobao Pavilion is not that simple. Shang Xingwen may not be able to find anything here, and he still needs to find someone to help. Fang Yi came to Duobao Pavilion again, and the girl who received him last time recognized him at a glance. She quickly greeted him with a smile. Young master, you're here. The wine has been ordered long ago, please follow me. The girl spoke and led the way ahead. Fang Yi nodded slightly and followed suit. This is like a refining workshop, with a fiery red stove reflecting the entire room, and the temperature is unusually high. Jiulao was lying leisurely by the fireplace, sipping on the strong liquor. Jiulao, here comes the person, the girl respectfully said. The old man lifted his eyes slightly and said, Kid, you're here. This is what you're looking for. Take it. As he spoke, Jiulao threw a small package beside him. Fang Yi quickly picked it up and opened the package without hesitation. A delicate silver soft armor appeared in front of him. The armor was as light as ordinary clothing, but incredibly tough. Ordinary swords could not be harmed at all, and the hand feel was excellent. Wearing it without any discomfort made Fang Yi unable to put it down. In addition, there is also a silver ring inside the package. Fang Yi excitedly picked up the ring and carefully placed it on his finger. Slightly sensing, the storage space of the ring is the size of a small room. Fang Yi was immediately overjoyed. With such a large storage space, everything he could do in the future would be much more convenient. End of this chapter.